Okay, hello and welcome back to our life beginnings and always. I did not stream yesterday for personal reasons, but I was determined that I would stream this week. I'm trying not to skip streaming too often. Because it's fun. So right now we are on step 3. As you can see, we have 4 moments left, all DLC. So when I upload this to YouTube, I will include a link to the base game, which is free, and the Step 3 DLC, which is not. The DLC is how the development team pays for, and is how you support this game and their other projects. We do have other projects besides a sequel to our life. Personally, they don't appeal to me, but that's me. But their games are available on itch and Steam, so it should be fairly easy to find them. At least our life. Yeah, working on our life has kind of taken over their lives, because everything has been for that recently. But they have XOXO Blood Droplet, an adorably brutal horror VN where everyone is crazy in love, and other things. I will look into those after I finish the other live streams I promised. If you have seen my Andromeda 6 playthrough, they announced a release for the next chapter of that, May 7th. I should be finished with this by then, and I will, since May 7th is a Friday, I will probably do a weekend stream because I will not be able to wait until the following Wednesday. And as I mentioned before, the sequel to Arcade Spirits, which I have also live streamed, you can find the playlist on my YouTube channel, which basically just look up Justana and there you go. The sequel to Arcade Spirits, the official release date has been announced, May 27th. So once that is released, I will be live streaming that. And I have a couple other games, so I may go back to doing 2 live streams a week, because there's so much I want to live stream, and the Norris Games projects are also hopefully going to be released soon. So, that being said, let's get into the late shift. So, the way things have been going, it'll take me 2 weeks to get through these last 4, and then another week 4, and then summer ended. And I'm not sure if we're just going to do step 4 that week, or if we will wait. Like I said, I haven't played this before. This is my first time playing this. And for the record, the romance is adorable, so if you want the romance, go for it. I just wanted to not do the romance for people who are curious about the friendship but can't resist. So here we go, late shift. After lunch, you ran into Baxter. He was more than happy for an impromptu hangout in your neighborhood. He idly spoke about the first time he bought a shirt online. Apparently, the website hadn't been in English, so he made do with automatic online translation. His unique fashion sense was eclectic in more than one way. Finding out how he filled out his wardrobe answered some of your questions about his look. He smiled in fond remembrance. I measured myself multiple times to make sure I could order the correct set. It wasn't as if I'd be able to ship it back to fit his several problems. But to make a long story short, it arrived in one piece multiple months later. At that point, I wasn't going to complain. It was a physical object in my hand. He gestured with his arm for emphasis. As he gave back to a glance at his wrist at a watch that wasn't there. Anyway, I hope I'm not taking too much of your time with this. For the record, there's additional DLC planned where you can romance Baxter and Derek. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Derek romance. We shall see. You were currently taking it easy for a bit before you had to get ready for work. You had an unusual closing shift at your job today. Actually, I do have to get going soon. I have a closing shift at work. Normally I don't close today. I don't know if someone is out or what. It is what it is. He's already working. He's at the old library as an assistant. I think he's on a good option for himself, especially with how limited jobs are in this town. He can usually take later shifts, so he has most mornings free, so both of us are pretty much booked for this evening once I get to work. Baxter nodded, understanding this. He was more interested than you had expected him to be. What do you do? And again, I forgot to grab my dice. Even though I should know by now, grab the dice because you're live streaming. Okay, there we go. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, I have D6. 5. Work at the Tropical Place restaurant. He grinned as if he had just said you had an exciting career as a movie star. Interesting.
Well.
Now that I know where and when you work, does that mean I should avoid visiting a place at that time? Should I conveniently happen to bump into you during your shift? He felt a little awkward at his question. At least he wasn't asking before just appearing at your job. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2. I'd absolutely love having a distraction during my shift. Do I want to encourage him? That's the question. Doesn't matter to me. You show up if you want. The decision is completely up to him. You honestly didn't care whether you saw him or not. He tilted his head with excitement in his eyes. Then I might have another stop to make on my outing this evening. Thank you. I've got to go get ready now. Good luck, Jules. He waved at you as you peeled off toward your house. You reached your front door and gave Baxter one final nod before you went inside. Okay. I'm tempted to be the on-time person, but because that's the way I've been trying to do things. Is you are always ahead of schedule. But 1, 2, 3, 4. It's time to mix it up. 2. You prepared on time. Changing to your uniform and set yourself in the mirror. You were sure your hair was clean, and it did not take long to transform yourself into someone work ready. You ate a quick snack before leaving the house. You were right on time for your commute. Drove or walk? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. Walk. You chose to walk rather than taking a family car. It wasn't a long journey, and you got yourself to work. You arrived at the building and went in at a leisurely pace. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary that day. Before you fully settled into your shift, send a quick text to Cove that you made it to work all right. The phone buzzed with his response before you had finished throwing it in your pocket. They sent back a positive, "You can do it" message that made you smile. You donned your server apron and soon found yourself at your first table of the day. You took the tourist drink orders with a smile. You brought them back to the lemonade and started writing down what they wanted to eat. You realized things a bit slow when you first got there. It didn't take long for the late crowd to start filtering in. You were constantly on your feet, taking orders and cleaning tables. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three. You're only looking there because you couldn't find something better. I'm sure that this is your best option. Every so often you look for other opportunities, but nothing had ever panned out. That was the downside to living in such a small town. So all the way through the rest of the afternoon, each minute ticking by in slow motion. That's what it feels like when you really don't want to be there. It's like the day takes forever. It just drags by. Not even when you're at work. Anytime doing your, like, when you go to school and you really don't want to be there, it takes forever. And that's what it felt like the past few days. Because I had to be out and about, and luckily I had books with me. I read 6 books in 3 days. I'm a fast reader. But yeah, just when it's boring, it takes forever. In a slow moment, you heard a distinct and familiar voice. Excuse me. You turned your head and saw Baxter sauntering towards you. He really did turn up just to visit. Hey, Baxter, welcome to my personal torment. He grinned with the top of his head. Is this a good time? Yeah, I'm not too busy right now.
Excellent.
Suppose I would search the place, really never having been before. He thought this on the decorative plant. Wait, I'm thinking. I think, my private, run through playthrough where I'm romancing Cove, I think, I came here with him and his mom. I'd have to double check, but, yeah. Just so we're clear, I almost didn't find you. Jay stopped on the decorative plant. Just so we're clear, I almost didn't find you. This was light and teasing as he looked back at you. This restaurant is not called the Tropical Place. Oh! It hit you instantly, despite everyone you knew always just calling it that. It wasn't a way for Baxter to know it was only shorthand. It had a real name, and that's what a tourist would need to find it. Oops, oh well, he made it. You shrugged in a mildly apologetically manner. Baxter chuckled. He seemed more amused about it all than anything. I figured it out in the end, clearly. Now, unfortunately, I can't stay for a full meal. However, my research did show the Tropical Place offered takeout. Would you mind taking my order? With that, you sit back into customer service mode. He raised an eyebrow at your cheery expression. Yes, people have talked about that, about how it's creepy that people can turn that customer service mode on and off. That won't be a problem at all, sir.
Not bad.
Sir? That works for me. Me and Baxter spent a little more time together talking about what he should get. Eventually, the decision was made, and he was left to explore more of the time. I'm glad you came by. It was a nice break from real customers, but you have to get back to your usual task. You checked the clock set high on the side wall. With how late it was time for your meal break. He raised a sigh of relief and left your station. Found a quiet place to eat that was out of eye shot of most people and pulled out your phone. Typed out a text to Cove to let him know you were having dinner. Took your first bite of your meal, and Cove replied with an okay. The phone came to life again as he let you know what he'd already taken. He'd already taken his long break, but he still had a short one he could take. He came on break as well. He asked if he could call. You're happy for the chance to talk. You've been wanting to spend some time with him. He was made aware of that and sent back one more text. A thumbs up. So you got a call. You accepted it as soon as you saw it was Cove.
Hey.
Hi, Jules. Hi. Day's been going by really quickly. What? It's taking forever. If time was standing in an hourglass and your brain's clogged in the middle part, the clock just kept going and going and going. You had still had more of your shift after this. Cove laughed quietly. You should have seen it. When I got to my shift earlier, there was a huge fight going on with the schedule. I just tried to stay out of it. I'm lucky no one else wants to close. It's not something I've got to defend. Some shifts are way too competitive. Took his head to memory. He wondered how the shifts had been sorted out in the end. He didn't bother to elaborate further on his workplace drama. I hope nothing's going on with you. This isn't normally when you'd be working. One, two, three, four, 5. There it is. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 4, 0. 2. I was open to a change of pace. You could afford to be a little flexible about when you worked. You weren't too set in your ways to get upset about changes. You made a small hum of acknowledgement. At least we're in the same boat. Yeah. Baxter showed up here earlier. Wow. Well, oh no. It's just too bad I missed him. Super busy with my own work, I guess. It's a shame. His tone was joking, at least mostly. You shook your head and tried to hide your grin. The conversation drifted off as Cove grew quiet. Can't stay on too much longer. It's busy. Imagine he was looking at some kind of clock the same way you had earlier. So sad. The two of you had only started to talk, and yet it was somehow over.
Bye.
Bye. The word was flat. He was down about leaving. There was a second of silence before he pulled himself together. We'll have more time later. Right. Bye. You let him go and finished up the meal on your own. Just as you were clearing up, your phone vibrated. David found time to speak to a quick text. Just a few more hours until closing. Jonathan had finished your break. It was time to get back to work. Customers continued to trickle in, even though it was getting closer to closing time. Before you could jump back into work, you heard your phone's quiet jingle in your pocket. It had to be a text message, but there was no way you could check it now. The phone made another quiet noise, making your hand twitch, wanting to check it. Still, it would have to wait. Taking the distraction off, you quickly fell back into the rhythm of things. There were still plenty of tasks that had to be done. Glancing at a couple as they passed you on their way out the door, your hands quickly became busy cleaning up their table. The tray you brought with you was stacked high with dirty dishes, used utensils, and printed napkins. Excuse me? Customer from the next spot over was gesturing for you. They were holding a coffee mug in their hand. Could I get a refill? Of course. They nodded and you finished wiping down the table with a cloth before heading to the back. On your way, someone moving to the seating arrangement bumped into you, knocking the tray out of your hands. Plates and silverware clattered to the floor. Glass rolled past your feet. While you strained to keep it together, you barely noticed the stranger slowly sidestepping past you. Sorry. Wordlessly, you bent down and started collecting the dishes. Luckily, nothing seemed to be broken. By the time you were finally able to drop the dishes in the back of your wash, you couldn't remember what you were supposed to be doing next. There was something you were certain. Everyone in the last 10 minutes in your mind. You cleaned that table and then there was a request for a refill. Looking back at the room, you could pick out which customer put in the request. What they wanted was coffee. Moments later, you had a mug filled to the brim with hot steaming coffee. The bitter smell tickled your nose while you hurried back to the table with your finest customer service smile. Sorry about the wait. Here's your drink. Can I get you anything else? Picked up their empty mug. The customer glanced at the refill briefly and then turned their attention back to the meal they were half through. No, that's all. Thanks. Not wanting to waste another second, you walked back towards the kitchen. You were so happy that you recovered from the earlier impact. Now you were starting to tire out from the busyness of today. Luckily, you had one more short break. Took a seat and finally checked his messages from earlier. There was one from Mom. Would you mind stopping by the grocery store on your way home to pick up some asparagus and peppers for dinner tomorrow? Can't make it myself. Deadlines are tight right now. Thank you and have a great day. I think one of these last two. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. You didn't mind the request. Could have been a lot worse. Asparagus and peppers. That's going to be quick in and out. Easy peasy. Answer back. No problem. Can do. You weren't expecting her to text back on time soon, but you did already get it. Thanks for it. There was no reason at this point not to check the answer message you got earlier. One smile spread across your face when you read it. It was from Cove. Just a few more hours to closing. You can do it! You knew that Cove was supposed to be busy working too, and yet you still found a moment to take an attack. Not a bit of that surprised you. Let's go with that. Same. Cove responded briefly seconds later. Chuckled, wondering how his day was going in comparison to yours. Sorry, I'm checking something. Okay, I'm gonna take that. Let's do this. Check out your shift. Talk to you when I'm off. Yeah. After that, you slipped your phone back to your pocket. Texas Cove easily lifted your spirits tenfold, and he got ready to tackle the rest of your shift. He was always there for you when you needed him, no matter what. The fact brought a warm smile to your face. For another minute, you stretched your arms high over your head and imagined how nice falling into bed later was going to be. You sighed. Hopefully your shift would go by in the blink of an eye. You jumped back into the rhythm of things. When the customers had finally exited the building, it was time to close. When all the doors were locked, you exhaled belly. The whole place was officially closed. Relieved. It was like you couldn't finally reach the light at the end of the tunnel. There were too many moments where you seriously questioned if you would ever reach this moment. While you were shuffling around in the close-up shop, you had a call come in. It was Cove. You knew that he spent the majority of today working overtime. You hadn't been sure if we'd hear from him. You picked up his call immediately. Hey, just finished. You? Yeah. How are you doing? I'm good enough. You could hear the exhaustion in Cove's answer. Are you heading home now? Actually, I have to run an errand for my mom. Where to? Grocery store. Mom texted me earlier asking if I'd pick up a couple things. Oh. Would you want to come too? It was late. You knew that Cove wanted to go home, but admittedly you wanted company. He eased that concern by speaking softly. Sure, yeah, I can go shopping with you. You walked, right? Mm-hmm. Want me to drive you? Yeah, that would make things a lot easier. No problem. Nice of you to do this.
Not really.
Not really. I like spending time with you. Thanks. I like that too. Moments later, you had your things together and were ready to swing by the store. You were out the door within a minute. Cove pulled into one of the many free parking spots at the neighborhood 24-hour grocery store. Car doors were popped open and you got out at the same time. There was a salty smell in the air as the two of you strolled to the dim parking lot. Local burgers on the other side of the pavement guaranteed the place always smelled like fries. I love fries. I want fries. Yeah. Can't have any. We don't have anything because we don't have any fries here at home. One thing that I really appreciate is that the writers made a point to reference the height that you chose for your character, whether they were tall or short. Like when you're taking that drive with Cove to his mom's place, I picked tall for this playthrough and didn't have a problem with the sun in my eyes. I picked average for my off-screen playthrough, and they made a reference to you having to use a sun visor to block the sun. So I like little touches like that. That's really cool. Your eyes squinted at the change of lighting when you made it inside the building. The automatic doors shut behind you. With you truly having arrived, Cove raised his brow curiously. So, what are we here for again? Asparagus and peppers. That's for something my moms are making tomorrow. Sounds good. This will be a short trip. Uh-huh. Riley scanned the front room for a basket you could use. A full cart wasn't necessary. Very looking forward to tomorrow's dinner. You make sure the ingredients you selected were divine. Saw the baskets and caught a glimpse of yourself while looking down to pick one up. You know, it feels strange to be in some other store while in a uniform from a different place. Cove snickered while sidling up beside you.
Right?
Right? It's like we're wearing a costume after Halloween is over. I just hope no one thinks we work here. The uniform is totally different, but you never know. Yeah, people. Basket in hand, you ambled towards the vegetable section. It was set near the back, but visible right from the entrance. Cove measured his page, keeping at your side. The asparagus was simple enough to select. You simply picked up a bundle that looked fresh. All that was left were the peppers. There was a wrinkle in that plan. What color did they want? She didn't say. Then what are we going to do? The color definitely matters. What are these two? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. I'll text Mom real quick to ask. He nodded, satisfied with his solution. Tried to fish out your phone while balancing the basket. Cove held a hand out to take it. He accepted the help. With both hands free, you were able to type out a brief message to ask about pepper colors. James stared, waiting at the screen. Cove hovered nearby to peek over your shoulder. The flying icon appeared, and you felt Cove leaning in even closer. Just the regular green ones is what she sent back. Alright, that's easy. And he was right. You picked up the requested green peppers, tossing a few into the basket. Notice acquired, although it's efforts to go through the line, but as you approach the cash registers, Cove stopped in his tracks. Oh, while we're here, I want to get something too. I need fruit for breakfast tomorrow. But what should I have? Glanced back, unsure what the section we just left. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5. So we had plenty of time for that before we were leaving. Cove's head dropped like a scolded child. I didn't think of it then, as his only defense for himself. But he lifted his gaze to meet your eyes. Just still go. I'll meet you back here before you're through. Fine. I'll see you there. Hurry. Cove nodded in complete seriousness, and spun on his heels and openly ran to the fruit stand. You shook your head at what a sight that was. A 6-foot-tall man in a uniform scooting through grocery store aisles for fruit. He could be so ridiculous. Gas bought an express lane and patiently wondered if Cove really would make it before you were done. The place wasn't crowded, and you had very few items. But once you began to place your own vegetables on the conveyor belt, there was a clamoring of loud footfalls. Cove gracefully slid up beside you to drop a bunch of 3 bananas down next to the rest of the items. Made it! The satisfaction at beating the clock was dampened slightly when he looked at his selection, but he shrugged it off. Kind of panicked, so I got the most obvious thing. It'll still be nice. Good job. You really did it. Thanks. I bolted his move. He stood tall in the checkout line. After that, you completed separate orders for what you were getting. The produce was packed away into paper bags. There was one for you and one for Cove. You both had what you needed in hand. The errand was finished. You walked across the length of the store to reach the doors closest to where you had parked. There you go. You and Cove slipped back into the night. Cove lightly swung his bag back and forth in his grip as he peered squinting into the dark parking lot. He smiled slightly, a gentle expression on his lips. Thanks for inviting me to the grocery store. Thanks for keeping me company. You're welcome. We should do this again. After a moment of walking further into the parking lot, he sighed mildly. Nice as Cove was about this, he had to be tired after working a full shift. It's been a long day. Yeah. That very brief exchange really summed it up. Cove shook his head to himself, the amusement replacing his worn-down expression. When did a busy day go from having way too many ways you wanted to play or having some extra homework to having to spend all day at a job and then running errands after? I don't know, but it sucks. That's fair. Those eyes narrowed as his mouth opened slightly. His eyes had thought.
I think?
Your mom saved this stuff for tomorrow's dinner, not tonight, right? Uh-huh. Now this frozen, so you don't need to get it home urgently or anything. Would you want to go across the parking lot to that fast food place? You could get something. You know it's still open. Doesn't matter how late it is. It might be nice. Looked up at the suggestion. It sounded like fun. All right, let's go for it. Let's drop the groceries off, then we can go. You agreed, and Cove strolled over to the car, explored something to look forward to. Placed his bag in the back of the car, and then let you store yours inside as well. With the groceries taken care of, it was a short walk to the burger joint. There were 3 cars lined up in the drive-thru, which wasn't too bad. You had to go all the way around the building to get into the front entrance, but soon you were under another set of bright fluorescent lights. Luckily, there was no line inside the building, so you stepped right up to the counter, glanced over the menu. Remembered eating here before with Cove, back when Kyra had taken you both years ago. The menu looked pretty much the same from what you could remember. Just missing the mozzarella sticks, the rest of the other items were familiar. Hello, what would you like to order? Yes, I would like one of everything on your dessert menu. You burst out laughing. He brushed a hand against the back of his head and his slight smile for the employee bent. Mom rubbed off on me. He was reminiscing on that visit, too. After the cashier made sure Cove was being serious, it was your time to order. You got vegan veggie burger, french fries, soda, and that was all. Cove gave you a little thumbs up. He wasn't the only one indulging. Wrapped up the ordering process, Kate got the number 264, then cleared the table. He sat down across from Cove in a booth where you had a good view of the front counter. It was nice to have the pick of the place. He said mouth when his tips are gone. Oh, I didn't even know, so I wonder when they got rid of them. And neither of you had an answer to that question. Then you took out your phone to text your mom about your delay home. They didn't want them to worry. Cove watched you before pulling out his phone as well, maybe for the same reason you did. When the updates were sent, it was back to being just you and your neighbor once more. He offered you a small smile. I miss you, you know, even if you were never really gone. And less than I am accustomed to. Cove tapped his fist on the table definitively. He heard that action with a childish pout. Someone sound like that. They might have assumed she was throwing a fit or not getting the toy that comes with the kids' meal. Chocolate is very tantrum. The beans that you sincerely, a ray of sunshine, and this late night food trip. When the number was called, Steve, where did that come from? Cove hopped up from his seat before he could react.
Don't worry about it.
I got it. Save a spot. I'm helping get that. Alright, I guess you probably don't have to worry about someone taking your seat. He glanced across the empty restaurant with a smirk. He snickered as you both looked over to the counter together. There were two trays on the counter. Cove grabbed the one that was mostly his dessert items, leaving space for you to reach the other. Cove picked up the drinks and passed you them. Then he grabbed the tray with food. This way we don't accidentally spill. Right. You agreed to Cove's plan and worked together to bring back the food. Once you had everything situated and placed on the table, the two of you returned to your seats. Cove didn't hesitate before digging in. He took a large bite of his cookie and immediately sipped on his milkshake. Then he took a spoon and sampled his sundae with an approving hum. He made an attempt to follow that up with a bite of his apple pie as well, but failed with a distressed look on his face. You tilted your head in a silent question. Yeah. Switched back to the milkshake, taking a dedicated slurp. Cove sighed at the cool relief it brought. Both started to taste yours. It really wasn't bad. In a minute, Cove's cookie was gone. You would be surprised if the milkshake wasn't far behind. Took the straw wrapper at Cove. Found a paper discard from straw cookies for his milkshake. He squished it into a little ball while he was distracted, and then very deliberately launched it at Cove. Your aim was true. It hit him square in the nose. He didn't even flinch till you see your violent straw wrapper wave. He casually reached out with his free hand and tossed the paper ball back at you. It sputtered when it hit you on the top of your head and bounced away. You scrambled to grab it from where it fell on your boob and threw it back at him. He chuckled and rolled the tiny ball in a return pass. You felt so glad Cove agreed to come along with you on the initial grocery trip, and equally happy you accepted his invitation here. Cove put him off your feet, a little something to eat, and felt more energized than before. Your lunch took at work that couldn't have been more than an hour or two in the past. Seemed like it was a lifetime away now. Continued to chat, mess around, laugh, and enjoy yourselves. For the first time that night, you felt like you weren't fully grown up after all. No, you're not falling asleep here. I've had to get up early every day this week, even this morning. I'm gonna keep going. Maybe we'll get 3. Maybe. Serendipity. Light filtered down through the leaves of an oak tree overhead, casting speckled shadows on the sidewalk all around you. There's a drop of sweat slowly making its way down the side of your face. You flicked it away with your thumb, pulling to a stop in the cool shade. The day ahead had you out and about in that town, in no hurry to go anywhere in particular. The morning shift had just ended, and there was nothing else planned for the rest of the afternoon. The moms were still at work themselves, and Melissa had left early in the morning to do something. You had no idea what. You took out your phone, idling on the time when it started to twinkle. The screen lit up in your hand. Speak of the devil, Liz messaged you. Come home, ASAP. You couldn't even begin to question why your phone went off again. Nothing bad, but you have to see this, so come back already. And with that phone message, you were left only slightly less confused than you were before. You hadn't seen much of your sister lately. She had been acting strange for days, always tying herself up in her room. Which wouldn't be so weird if at the dinner table she didn't suddenly start smirking to herself over nothing. The rare times you did see her, she would sneak you expectant looks like she was waiting to be asked what was up, but all your questions led nowhere. She'd answer you with a put-upon sigh, proclaim that she was busy, and tell you that she would have to talk about it later. No hints, no guessing. Whatever it was, she was determined to keep it a secret. Then now you finally find out what it was. You did an about-face on the sidewalk and started heading home, seeing more texts. To your surprise, the name that popped up on the screen this time was Cove. Did you hear from Liz? About some urgent thing you had to see? She messaged Cove too? You were surprised. Liz teased him about it, but he was like family. However, you were struggling to understand how he fit into Liz's life. I'm confused too. Yeah, Liz sent me the same thing. His reply came only seconds later as he waited to cross the street. I figured she would. Are you going to see what's up? I'm walking there now. Me too. By the time you saw that the light had changed to walk sign while you were busy texting, you hurriedly wrapped things up, texting Cove a quick goodbye before crossing the street. Yeah, I was out running errands this morning because I finally was able to do stuff myself. And I got distracted because there was a woman on the corner walking two dogs. It's fine. You'd be seeing him later anyway. Not expecting any more messages, you put your phone away so you could walk without having to worry about tripping over the curb. Thankfully, it was a short trek back home, and soon enough you were walking up your street, familiar face to your house already in view. Thinking of what might be waiting at home. Left you entirely lost. How I'm feeling. The more you learned, the more questions you had. They were all buzzing around in your head, too many to try and pick out and make sense of. After your thoughts, you almost didn't see who was walking further up the street. Cove. Even from the back, the bright sea green color of his hair was unmistakable. In clicking your pace to catch up to him, the scuff of your shoes loud against the pavement. You heard it instantly, not missing a beat as he turned towards you and slowed his steps in sync.
Hey.
Hey, Jules. Hi, here we are, at my house. At that, Cove gave you a wry smile. Here we are. It sounded almost like a question, wondering why the two of you had been summoned here. Any ideas on what was wants us for? You shook your head. The situation was out of character for your sister. Anything could happen. Well, I guess we should go in and find out. Taking his cue, you grabbed your keys and opened up the front door. Cove trailed behind you as you entered. You walked to the open door and peered about, not sure what you were looking for. From the entryway, you could see Liz pace across the living room, her smiling gaze intent on her phone. You had caught her just as she had completed a turn. Behind you, the door clicked shut. The second she heard it, her head darted up in your direction, her features lighting up at the sight of you and Cove. Hey, you've arrived, and together too. That's perfect. Just perfect. She flashed you a radiant smile. You almost could see her lips vibrating as if she was poised to pounce. Cove raised an eyebrow at your sister's bizarre behavior. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10. 4, 0. What? What's going on? Oh, you'll see. Lizzie's eyes narrowed with a mischievous spit, and she let out a little cackle. So, lately I've been hard at work on a little plan of mine, and you two get the honor of seeing it all come together. Here it is. Surprise! She lifted a hand on the arch to present a very comfortable but completely mundane living room. In the golden silence, you and Cove glanced around again, and then made eye contact with each other. His face mirrored your back with it. And suddenly, another voice rang out in the room. Surprise! Surprise! Cove flinched at the shout, his shoulders shooting out to his ears. Laughter came from his sister, as well as from the other side of the room. Your head whipped around just in time to see a familiar figure with a freckled face and a purple cat spinning out from behind the back of the couch. His mouth fell open, recognition immediately coming to him. Shiloh? Hey, Cove. Hey, Jules. I wondered if she had arranged for Shiloh to show up again. Better than Jeremy showing up. Shiloh greeted the two of you so casually, like he'd been gone for 10 days rather than 10 years. But I thought you weren't the Shiloh we knew. Initial shock quickly wore off. He crossed your arms and leveled a look at the freckle face that dished you at the start of summer. He treated you and Liz like complete strangers. Shadow shifted nervously, angling the brim of his hat down as if to hide from your scrutiny. Liz petted at your comment.
Rude.
Don't be rude. I'll explain. When we got home that day, I changed my mind about letting it go. Why did I have to? Social media exists, right? I thought, why not try finding him and sending him a little reminder message? Luckily, there are only so many 17-year-old Shiloh Fields in the world. It wasn't that hard to do. Your endless speech seemed to encourage Shiloh, who pulled himself together to face both you and your sister with a careful smile.
Sorry.
I'm really sorry about what happened. When you talked to me that first time, I was in the middle of a tour for a school field trip. I couldn't get separated from the group and didn't expect anyone to want to be talking to me. I was so worried about getting back to everyone else, I didn't think too hard on what you were saying. But when Lizzie's message showed up, everything suddenly hit me. Lizzie, Jules, Cove, you were the kids of Sunset Bird, back when I was a little kid. There's no way I could forget that, not for real. I do know all of you, and I'm so happy I get to see you again. I have Lizzie to thank for that. My mom was already planning to take a short trip near here this summer.
Well,
if anyone could bring me along, Lizzie offered to pick me up and bring me the rest of the way here just so I could visit the neighborhood again. And that's why I decided to make it a big reveal instead of outright telling you two I got back in contact with Shiloh. Once again, she lifted her hand in the air, happily presenting that long-lost childhood friend you all shared. My other thought was that she'd somehow worked with Kyra to smuggle her over for a visit, but I was like, Kyra wouldn't go for that. And if anyone would work with her to make it a surprise, it would be that, not Liz. So. Yeah, I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to influence anyone who may be watching this along and hasn't seen it before. So, ta-da! We were glad they were able to see each other again. Someone thought it was, remembering how Shiloh used to follow your sister around like a baby chick after his mom when they were kids. It's nice seeing the two of you together like this, just like old times. Hopefully, slowly, still a little dazed by everything else going on.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm going to get some water. Don't disappear or anything. He headed out to the kitchen. No need for a chaperone. He knew where the cuts were. Wow, you really surprised him, Lizzie. And Jules, too. Did you see their face when I appeared? Yes, I did. Just sat on the cushion in front of the couch. Make yourself comfortable. You don't have to keep hunkering down behind there anymore. With a laugh, Shiloh crossed around the back side and took the seat. But maybe it was awkward being the only one sitting because he kept idly twiddling his fingers. You could hear him humming to himself. The nonsense tune was no real melody. Something to keep his voice busy. Being here again could be more nerve-wracking for him than he let on. His eyes wandered to the left and he saw him here. And then something came to you suddenly. Shiloh was using your right pronouns, but that wasn't what he knew you as when you were kids. It was so natural to be close that you hadn't initially realized it was out of place. You were relieved to seem to aware of the change and had no problem adjusting to it. That was my thought, too. I was like, wait, he's smart pronouns? But I figured Lizzie told him. Let's be direct. You leaned over to face Shiloh, who turned his head to look back at you attentively. So, Shiloh, I know how things were like when we were kids. I want to tell you that my pronouns are they, them. Did I understand? Smile as Shiloh nodded. Cool. Thanks for telling me, Jules. He returned the smile. It was satisfying to have that settled. He may have just followed Lizzie's lead. Liz. Well, Liz doesn't care now. Cove's soft voice announced his return. He passed dragged back of his hand across his mouth, wiping away wet droplets of water lingered there. Hi, Shiloh. Welcome back. At Cove's confused greeting, Shiloh laughed cheerily.
Thanks.
I think it's amazing you're all still here in the same neighborhood. It's just like how it was way back then. Shiloh sighed happily at the moment as Cove raised an eyebrow and gave the room a considering glance. Hey, this is where we met the first time, remember? Right after I moved in, me and Jules were brought down right here to have a play date with you. Shiloh laughed, his eyes downcast, as he filled with the corner of his collared shirt. We met on the hill behind the house. What? The two of you ran away from the living room because Cove didn't want to meet me. He grimaced, remembering how Cove had gone straight to the window to escape the range meeting. You had gone with him when Shiloh had arrived. Cove cringed at the memory of his younger self being pushed back to the forefront of his mind. Mouth going tight, he awkwardly looked away from Shiloh. You have a good memory.
Oh?
Oh, I don't think so. Seeing this place again just brings a lot of things back. He clapped his hands together, an idea suddenly coming to him. But hey, now that our group is together, would you want to go out and visit some of the old places? I've been hiding in the living room since I got here. Liz wasn't afraid to laugh at herself, putting her hand to her chest and silently taking the blame for that. I thought so. Yeah. On the same beat, the others turned to you for your answer. Where to first?
Fine.
I'm sure we'll figure it out along the way. And with that, the four of you headed out into the neighborhood as one. You won't tell us what the time we spent indoors was. The sun was momentarily blinding once you left the house. Squinting, you brought your hand up to shield your eyes. The pleasant summer day had yet to go away. Only a few wispy clouds drifted along in the sky. As you strolled down the way, Liz took the lead, followed by you and Cove, walking side by side. Shiloh further took to walking in the middle of the road, at times idly swinging back and forth at his side, as he turned his head every which way to take in as much as he could. It was a very much trip down memory lane for him. He wondered how much the neighborhood had changed in his eyes. Not a word passed between the group about where you were heading first, but soon enough you find yourselves walking the usual path to the shopping street. Very rich the sounds of it did. A collective of sandals tracking down, the shrill calls of seagulls, the overlapping conversations of beachgoers with random strains of music from various stalls. Wow! The odd gasp checked up from Shiloh. His eyes were all lit up. Were there always so many different stores in one place?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Wow, I can see why so many people come here. Hey, do you still have those nice little ice cream stands? Yeah, that hasn't changed. Yay, we should get some. It'll be my treat. Thanks, Shiloh. Ice cream sounds perfect on such a hot day. How about you, Cove? You could see that unlike Liz, Cove was struggling with the decision for all wrinkles in thought. Finally, a hesitant smile appeared on his face as he sailed along, keeping to the spirit of the special occasion. Yeah, sounds good to me. Awesome. And Jules? I like that, thanks. Shadow gave you a wide grin as he threw the one buying him ice cream. The four of you continued to walk as ice cream plans were further discussed. Are you getting a popsicle, Lizzie? Yes. Hearing that, Shadow smiled shyly. Thought you might still like that. I'm gonna get an ice cream cone. Shadow began to turn towards Cove, but before it could ask, Cove offered up his choice. I'll get an ice cream sandwich. I'm gonna get a popsicle. Finding my footsteps, that's touching. You slowly shook your head at her, like you might at a petulant child. You were allowed to get whatever treat you wanted. That's a joke in our family. If someone orders the same thing as another person, or orders something that another person's trying to get, they're like, hey, that's what I'm getting. Or, hey, you can't get the same thing as me. But we all know it's a joke, so if not, we don't take it seriously. You still like those, Cool. Yep. There was an ice cream stall further up the street, across from a souvenir shop displaying postcards of the seaside with saltwater taffy in its windows. So apparently, saltwater taffy was created when a taffy place got flooded in New Jersey with seawater. And the proprietor didn't want to just throw out all that taffy, so that's where saltwater taffy came from. Instead, itself was already hard to miss with its pastel pinks and blues and its eye-catching poster boards listing every individual flavor. It's impossible to ignore once the catchy little jingle playing from its speakers was added. Shadow greeted the owner and began picking out the treats that everyone had chosen. He paid for them before handing them out to their respective owners. Drinking your treat into your popsicle, you realized the sweet silhouette left in your mouth. This was right. This was a perfect treat for a summer day. Around you, everyone else was eating at their own pace. Just held her popsicle away from herself, careful to not to let it drip on her dress. It would end up dripping on me. Just because that's just the way it is for me. No matter how hard I try, I manage to get something on me. She's trying to go about eating it as quickly as she could while Shiloh dug into his. And only 2 or 3 bites before Cove had devoured his sandwich. Shiloh laughed, also noticing the way Cove inhaled his food. It's already finished? Cove shrugged a little and replied, his attention more focused on crumpling up the sandwich wrapper in his hand. So what have you been doing around here since I've been gone? Well, I already told you about me attending college away from here, so I don't really live here anymore. But to be more specific on my work, I'm pursuing a degree in architecture. So perked up at that, his mouth falling open in awe. Amazing!
Thanks.
Actually, I was thinking about it, and the first time I really decided I liked building them was when you and I would make sandcastles out on the beach.
Aw,
Lizzie. It's such a sincere admission from your sister. All Shiloh could do was blush and lower his head, too flattered to know what else to say. His laugh, just as frustrated, but she had been the one to say it. The atmosphere was awkward, but not unpleasant. Shiloh shyly glanced over at Ian and Cove. And what about you two? What have you been up to?
Oh,
Me and Jules just graduated high school, I got a part-time job. I volunteer at the organization to clean up stuff, things like that. I explained how you're doing normal things. You felt there wasn't anything super interesting to share about your life. What you cared about was important to you. You know it wasn't always the same for other people. So I just seemed happy to hear it. Great! Being around him again was a little like picking up an old forgotten habit. Easy at first, but as the more you talked, it started to come more naturally. And when one of you ran out of things to say, suddenly someone else remembered something new. Oh, Brad, do you remember those mean old butt-action grandparents that used to live in our neighborhood? Yeah, they were so mean. Well, they're not here anymore. Oh no, they're not staying summers here anymore. They're still alive. Thank goodness. That was my thought too. I was like, I know what I was thinking. No. They didn't pass away. They're just not making the trip. I hope the child was just as eager to hear what had gone on in his absence as people were to tell him. Soon everyone threw out what trash they had in a nearby garbage can as the group made their way down to the beach. Going down the shore inevitably led to a certain spot. It didn't take very long for Shadow to recognize I was in the distance. His words trailed off in the middle of the sentence, his footsteps faltered at first. Then all at once he broke away from the group and dashed right into the old park, giggling as he ran. Oh, everything's so small. Yep. Let's be Betty. Yep, that's the joys of growing up. Everything seems smaller. That's repeated as he came to a stop by swings and grabbed hold of one of the support poles. He walked in a little circle around it, marveling at how easily his hand wrapped around its entirety. Driven by child's enthusiasm, Liz popped herself down onto one of the swing sets. Only to instantly show an expression of regret. There was no way she was comfortable in that tiny seat so low to the ground. And with how she had to scrunch up her legs to fit there. Child crept up behind her. He took hold of the chains of the swing, one in each hand.
Seriously?
What are you doing? And with a grin, Child started walking back. Liz shifted in her seat to look at him. You cannot be trying to push me. These are made for kids. It's never going to work. But Child just hummed and kept pulling her back. Resigning herself to her fate, Liz tucked her legs up as much as possible as Charlotte moved his hands to her back. With a running start, he got her forward and up as far as he could go before jumping out of the way. Liz had her eyes squeezed shut, a screech escaping her as the swing started falling backwards. When it swung back around, there was Charlotte again to push her. She didn't take the ground like when you were kids. Her legs were too long for that now. But Charlotte was pushing her enough to keep the momentum going. They were filled with their wild laughter and the almost rhythmic jingle of the swing chains. Phil sat against the bars of the jungle gym, wearing a bent smile as he watched them. He was dealing with something, turning it over and over in his hands. He craned her neck to get a better view. He obligingly lifted it 48 feet. was a piece of shell, one side rough and mottled gray, the other side completely smooth, revealing a faint blue sheen when it caught the light. I saw it on the beach. It's nice, isn't it? Yeah, it's a good one. No, I meant Shiloh. He's more confident than I remember. I think so, too. He and Liz look closer than they did as kids. Cove nodded, leaning back to join the breeze blowing in from the sea. Soon his sister began to speak out. All right, I'm ready to get off now. How do you stop this? Don't worry. Charles braced himself, one foot planted forward as the swing started coming back down. Then in one quick motion, he reached up to cut the chains again. The impact had his feet skidding back in the sand, but he kept his stance steady. Liz was surprised at suddenly being brought to a halt. She didn't show it, only tilting her head up to smile at him. Shiloh had yet to catch his breath, so she returned the smile just as brightly. Let go of the chains, walking around the swing set, and briefly rubbing his hands together before offering one to Liz, which she graciously accepted, needing the help to get out of the tiny seat. Then the two of them made their way back over to you and Cove. Liz was looking more ruffled than usual, and her sun hat was off kilter, having held on for dear life for the entire ride. She took a moment to straighten her outfit back into place. That looked like fun. It was! Even though you were just pushing me on the swings? Yep, that was the fun part.
Huh.
Hey, Cheryl, you've got an idea of what our lives have been like since you've been gone, but I've been wondering what happened to you after you moved away. Cheryl's eyes went wide, as if it was surprising to hear. You couldn't recall him talking about himself when you were all telling stories, so maybe he hadn't been able to find the right timing. Ran his hand to his chin, tapping it thoughtfully as he looked up into the side. Well, what happened was my mom decided to move back to the south coast where I was born. She stayed there for a few years because she got another job offer in California again thanks to connections she had here. It was already a good job. It was a really good job at a private boarding school, so she decided to take it. The wide grin, he said the next part. And as a bonus, her kid, me, gets to attend the school and live in the dorms for free. I've been there since my second year of middle school. Pretty soon I'm going to be starting my last year of high school. Liz leaned towards him with an intense smile on her face. You've been doing well there, getting good grades? Got any friends? To Liz's question, Shiloh held his hands in front of himself as if there were physical things he could stave off.
Yeah.
To everything. It can be a little hard sometimes because of how people are in that school, but I'm happy. How people are? I couldn't guess what that meant, but Liz folded her arms, scowling. Don't tell me there's more people like that Nate guy hanging around. Shiloh rubbed at his cheek, laughing nervously. He glanced from the bars of the temple gym to the laces of his shoes, to the trees swaying in the distance, unsure of where to rest his gaze. Not exactly. Nate doesn't mean to be mean. He just kind of is. He's the school's #1 performer for athletics and academics. He always takes up so much responsibility that the only possible way he can finish it all is if absolutely nothing goes wrong. But that's impossible, so he's always stressed and ready to snap. He can't handle it when someone seems to be always causing a problem. Sounds like he needs to eat up. That's why during the field trip he was upset when I went off on my own like that. So he's really smart and reliable and sensitive, and he cares a lot. Most of the time, he doesn't even realize his way of dealing with stuff upsets other people. Cove had a patient smile on his face, listening earnestly as Shiloh rattled off his list of Nate's good traits. You know him pretty well. Are you actually friends? Well, not exactly. Me and Nate are in the same after-school group. But once a month, me, 6 other students, and a supervisor get together to talk. We did it all of last year. I think next year we're going to be in the same group again. I hope so. Why would you want to be in a group with him? Despite Shiloh vouching for him, you still weren't convinced that Nate could be any sort of pleasant to be around. Liz vigorously nodded along with you in total agreement. Personally, I'd still appreciate having a word with Nate about his communication skills. Her gentle voice was low and pointed. He'd be worried for Nate, if not for the playful smile that accompanied her words. Shiloh let out a little laugh at that. I do have Nate's number, but he wouldn't pick up. People in my group only answer when they feel like hearing from me, so you shouldn't have to wait for them to call. Either that, or they never even consider answering my calls or calling me or talking to me at all, unless the supervisor forces them to. I don't like the sound of that. There's such a bleak description of his dynamic with his group, but he didn't seem to realize it until it glanced up and saw the concerned looks on everyone's faces. His smile fell. He happened to add one more thing. Well, except for one who will always answer for sure. Oh? She immediately perked up.
Really?
So that's a friend of yours? Hesitated to answer, something Cove picked up on. Not exactly. Yeah, I'd like to be friends, so. Alright. Those crops around together once more. Grim faced like she was the commander of her ship about to lead her little crew into battle. You should call them. Right now. What? You want to be friends with them? I can help. If we're going to be in the same group again, they should at least try to get along. No, I couldn't. Quickly grew flustered, his tongue stumbling over his sentences. I don't want to be a bother.
I mean...
What are we going to do? Watch him while he talks to someone on the phone? No, Cove. Shiloh. Last syllable of Shiloh's name trailing up into nothing, it soon became clear Liz had not fully filled out the plan yet, but she wouldn't be Liz if she just sat there. Shiloh, could you put them on a video call and we could all talk together, of course? She clapped her hands together, a wide smile on her face, and didn't leave room for dissenting opinions. Really?
All right.
It's a good idea. It'll work. It's a terrible idea. No, you don't have to listen to her. Oh, alright. Let's set your roll for eyes. This is the one with the ridiculous idea. Come on, Shiloh. We'll just talk to them, say that we're your friends from out of town. The worst that could happen is nothing changes. Let's have more chances to talk to you. I know they'll be convinced to be better friends. It's going to turn out okay. Shiloh failed to answer, but his hand was already hovering over one pocket of his pants. Alright, we can talk. Yes! Let's clutch a hand into a fist, and Shiloh officially reached into the pocket and pulled out his phone. This is the same type of model as your own, but his had a red case around it. Bring it up, and Shiloh requested a video call with the number in his contacts. None of them on the list had names. He must remember what number belongs to what person. He was closer to the three of you so everyone could hear better. Vaguely, he wondered how this looked from the outside. Four teenagers on the verge of adulthood hanging out in an old playground all huddled up around a single phone. Strange? Suspicious? Bring out the phone book you have been using. Keep your eyes on it. Your heart's beating at the end of each dial tone. Thinking, could this be it? And we'd have another one start up. We've been ringing for a while and started to think of what Coach said about all of you watching. A Shiloh talked on the phone. Maybe even that wouldn't happen. Shiloh could sense the awkwardness in the air, smiling to try to dispel it. This is normal, don't worry. Just as you said, the call ended and go to voicemail. Shiloh clicked redial. He never answers on the first call. He always does on the second. That's how he is, at least with most people. There are exceptions. You, Liz, and Cove furtively shared ambiguous looks, none of you wanting to accidentally discourage Shiloh. Suddenly you focus on the phone again as it starts to ring once more. The jingling sound cut off in the middle, followed by the faintest sound of white. With a big smile on his cheeks, Shiloh brought the phone up to his face. His voice, low and groggy, came raspy out of the speakers. Hello? Shiloh, on the other hand, was much more chipper.
Hi.
Hi. I visited a town I used to live in when I was little, and I wanted to introduce my group mate to the people I knew back then. Two of them I've already met and meet. Can you say hey to them too? And with that rushed introduction, Shiloh stuck the phone out towards Cove, gesturing for him to get the person on the other end. Though Cove hadn't been on board in the beginning, the only indication of that now was the lopsided tip of his smile. Ernest gazed out to the screen, opening his mouth to speak, only to stare to a complete stop. I have a feeling I know who this is. Huh? All Cove could do was flutter and gape at the screen, his reaction like Shiloh's brow crinkling in worry. What? Shilow's groupmate didn't sound particularly impressed with how this conversation was going so far. Shiloh frowned, retracting his arm away from Cove. As he did so, the screen tilted towards you, and he caught a glimpse of what was on the screen. Light green hair, sharp orange eyes, shadowed with bags, and icy pale skin, all tied together to make up the sky face of a person who clearly had no desire to be here. You knew him. I was right! I was right! A flood of memories arose, flashes of that one summer years ago at this very same park you hold on to an arrangement of fruit, Derek and Cove at your side. And that kid, mean as a tied chihuahua, snapping at everyone who dared to come close. Jeremy? Yeah? His reply was palpably disinterested. How did you know his name was Jeremy? You didn't tell them? No, I only called somebody from my group at school. Jeremy regarded you cautiously, for the first time giving the situation a little of its focus. Cove bristled, sucking in a long, deep, dramatic breath.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And all at once he started shouting, not just with his voice. He waved his arms around, gesturing wildly with his hands, as he repeatedly yelled, oh my god, with all sorts of inflection. Cove, you're not helping. Oh my god. Oh my god. At these antics, Jeremy gave a short huff of his side through his teeth, the sound sending over his phone speakers. What is this, Shiloh? Are you trying to make me suffer? Are you still mad about what happened at the amusement park? I was on your side, you know. It had been entirely lost this whole time. Finally spoke up.
Huh?
What happened at the amusement park? But no one paid that question any mind. I don't know what's going on. Have you met each other before? Nope. It was an immediate reply from Jeremy, but then the singing eyes squinted. Wait. With a flash of recognition there, he leaned his head forward and scrutinized both of you. His already white frown somehow found a way to grow deeper at his realization.
Oh,
it's you people. Again. He carefully looked from Child to Cove and then to you. You could tell his quickly put his thoughts together.
Sorry.
I have no idea how you people got in contact with me or what Child has to do with this, but, sorry. What? Jeremy sighed again. His gaze rolled over to Cove. I don't remember exactly what I did or what I said, but I do know what I was like as a kid, and really, that's all I need to know. Well, okay, but who is it that apology for? It better be for me and Jules. He spoke sternly, though there was no hiding the shakiness present. That didn't matter. Cove come to your defense by comparing Jeremy, but a warm smile to your face. Jeremy, on the other hand, continued to be unimpressed. The corner of his lips twitched. I didn't need to know what the teenage guy equivalent of a smooshy squeak is, but now I do. Thanks for that. A small offended noise escaped Cove. Unfortunately, it was also squeaky sounding. His face mutely burned red with embarrassment. That's my squeak toy you're talking to yourself. Your son pointed at Cove for added emphasis. Cove kept in disbelief, but he couldn't fight the smile, clicking at the corner of his mouth. Jeremy didn't react at all. He continued watching the four people on the other end of this unlearned call, lackadaisically.
Whatever.
The apology is for whoever. Anyone who had to deal with me back then, they weren't having a good time. He shrugged. Jeremy's focus cycle from you to Cove was back again. I kind of remembered what happened, I think. You were sensitive and didn't have much patience for me. That makes sense. Jeremy tilted his head Cove's way, and then yours respectfully. Amazed, Cove took a few processing moments before he could respond. He blinked and rubbed the back of his neck. Oh, thanks. I mean, it's no problem. I accept your apology. Thank you, Jeremy. That was the absolute last thing you had expected today, but you couldn't help but be pleased it happened. Fish off my throat and switched to water. Whatever. Following close eyes, you watched it dart from side to Jeremy, openly wondering what had happened to Jeremy over these past few years. So you're nice now?
Nope.
I don't throw tantrums or take fights anymore, but I'm not nice. Jeremy shook his head in disbelief. That squeak toy comment wasn't a compliment, you know. I don't have the energy to get angrily worked up like I used to as a kid. All pointless anyway. Now I'm just miserable. The tone was even friendlier than usual and dragged the syllables out on the last word for extra emphasis. Oh. An awkward laugh escaped Shiloh. Then his mouth pulled into a demure smile. Don't let what Jeremy says about himself get you too down. He's got people who care about him. Make sure he's okay. Like me. Don't listen to Shiloh. You're looking out for someone else, Shiloh. Shiloh blushed at the compliment, while Jeremy fixed you with a blank stare. Thanks, Jules. Okay, seriously, how long am I meant to be out of the loop here? Her expression twisted in frustration as Liz rubbed her right temple. Why am I the only one who doesn't know this kid? Shiloh goes to school with him and that's fine, but how did the two of you meet him and I didn't? You tried to explain. You were there. I think he was around town one summer, maybe 5 years ago? Is that all? I listened a bit underwhelmed. Shiloh appeared to be utterly amazed. You had to hold back a small laugh.
Really?
You knew Jeremy as a little kid? What was he like? I've been with him for a year and a half. Well, his voice immediately hushed into nothing. You could see Cove was just thinking on those past encounters. Actually, Cove does a good Jeremy impression. Why don't you do that instead? Oh, you've got an impression of me, huh? Cove's body stiffened in fear. Jeremy leaned forward just a bit. Sure, go ahead, do it. Jeremy spoke dispassionately, but it somehow still felt like a dare. Yeah, that'd be great. Cove shifted nervously on his feet and took a deep breath in and out to calm himself. Okay, I can do it. Yay! Amused, you watched as Cove close his eyes and called the memory. His brows furrowed and his mouth pulled into a harsh frown. Everybody is so dumb. There's not a single good thing in the world, and every bad thing that happens is targeting me personally. I hate people and phone calls are stupid. Why does anyone have to talk to me? Going on vacation is torture. You couldn't help yourself join in. The shrill tone of your voice broke over to a fit of laughter. Jeremy's expression didn't go away. A single thing of what he might have been thinking. Stared blankly for the duration of it all. Yep, that sounds about right. I like that he's not denying it.
That would be
I
awkward.
could probably try to do an impression of what I remember you being like back then, but it doesn't seem like you've changed much. I don't want to make you cry. That would be awkward. You could feel Cove bristling next to you as Jeremy spoke so matter-of-factly. It was hard to tell if he meant to be rude or was just making an honest assessment of Cove. Either way, you could tell that your neighbor was taken aback by how Jeremy quickly turned the tables on him. At that confirmation, Charlotte burst into uncontrolled laughter. Even when he came moments later, gasping for breath, there was still a wide grin plastered on his face. I can't even imagine Jeremy being like that. I can't imagine him not being like that. They both chuckled again. Cove's mouth curled into a bent smile. I mean, Jeremy hasn't made fun of my eyebrows once this whole conversation. Unbelievable.
Huh.
Jeremy blinked to focus all his attention on the Cove. His eyes unmistakably narrowed in on the eyebrows. He didn't say anything at first, and then his words came out in a mumble. That makes sense. I go insulting eyebrows. It's just what I did as a kid. What does that mean? What do you think it means? You were the only kid in the world with bad eyebrows, and you're not the only one I picked on for it.
Seriously?
It wasn't you couldn't help yourself, could you? Nope. Wow, so what made their eyebrows bad? Are you curious if yours are better by terrible eyebrow standards at least? No.
Sigh.
I incredulously looked from Jeremy to you and then back to him again. Next question, if you heard that right. You spoke the word sigh instead of actually sighing. Noticing the reaction, Jeremy sighed for real, but he continued to answer Cove's question. The guy has particularly odd hair coloring, white hair, but only on the top of his head. Every other strand on his body is dark brown, including his immensely bushy eyebrows. He was born that way. It's not dyed. So you were the scarred boy with wavy eyebrows, and he was the white-haired boy with stupid caterpillar eyebrows. Ow. Unexpectedly, a loud gasp came from Charlotte at that description. No, you picked on Sam for his eyebrows? I did. I'm sure you find that hilarious. No, that's not very funny, so he said, but Charlotte was smothering laughter. Infamous note in Jeremy's voice to surprise you. Okay, wait. Give me a second. Jeremy rolled his eyes in the slowest, most exaggerated way possible and made a complete circle. He spoke flatly while his shadow broke into a fit of giggles. There. Who's Fran? Shiloh knows him too?
Well,
Jeremy and Fran have known each other for a long time. They managed to go to the same boarding school later on. I met them both there in the spring of last year. We're all group mates. Jeremy's gaze slid away from Shiloh. He looked somewhere between you and Cove. Fran and I met about 4.5 years ago, back when I was still an intolerable brat and Fran was me. You don't imagine how amazing that combination was. Yeah, it must make those group meetings awkward. Nope, somehow, some way, for some reason, Fran chose to stubbornly stick with me for as long as we've known each other. He's my best friend. What? It's surprising, I know. I have a best friend, and it's Caterpillar Brow Guy of all people. I guess things balanced out in the end. Fran's timid nature was good and dead. He grew up to be colder than even me. I'm ropey and he's fruity. A perfect match. He's in a ruining everyone's life pod.
gross.
Don't quote Everett. No whined after Jeremy snapped his ass in there. Now who's Everett? You don't want to know. Yeah, you don't want to know. Tell him that he watched his 3 old friends with a neat smile. He was having fun. Before you could say anything, Jeremy continued. Everett is also part of the group, unfortunately. They chose not to elaborate further than that, Liz sighed this time. You could feel her frustration. You couldn't blame her for that. She hadn't been able to participate much at all. She didn't know Jeremy then, so there was no basis for reminiscing now, and there was a 10-year gap in her history with Shiloh. The whole situation struck on odd chords with you. 2 boys that you knew separately tend to know each other, and now they knew each other much better than they know any of you. Shiloh was almost a stranger. You didn't know how to feel. You're happy to know that Shiloh was busy living his life and playing it with his friends, but it's hard not to feel sort of left behind. And it was utterly bizarre that he had apparently been bonding with Jeremy. Turning to his rearview, Shiloh smiled apologetically. What a difference he kept out of how in the dark youth live in Cove were feeling. He was perceptive when he wanted to be. At least that's what you remembered of Shiloh. Who knew what he was like now? Hey, is there anything you want to hear about Jeremy? I can tell you all about him. We should get to know each other better. Don't do that. It'll be okay. Jeremy whined, but Shiloh brushed his complaints off. Jeremy happily focused on the rest of you and listened to perk up at the conversation tip. That sounds great. We should get to know Jeremy. So, who wants to go first? Despite being eager, it's obvious that Liz doesn't have any ideas herself. Jeremy let out a very long sigh. What happened to his bowl cut and glasses? He had a bowl cut? That sent Shiloh into a fit of laughter, while Jeremy shook his head disapprovingly. Through chuckles, Shiloh continued with his best guess. Right. His mom and dad probably decided that back then, and now he's hip. Or they developed new tastes over the years. As for his glasses, Jeremy wears contacts at school, or when he's out and about. He still wears glasses when he's home or working part-time at his parents' shopping shop. Does he have any siblings? Nope. Jeremy is an only child. He doesn't have pets either. Although Chris spends almost no time with his own family and a lot with Jeremy. It's kind of like a sibling relationship, I think. Don't bring Brad into this awful thing. Okay. What did happen to me in the park? I don't actually know. I kind of think of one time when we were both there. I'm not sure what part he's talking about. As far as I could tell, I didn't do anything to upset him, and I know he didn't do anything to me. That's what you're going with, Shiloh? Jeremy, what happened? I'm not going to tell you. It's humiliating. And Shiloh knows I'm not going to say anything. That's why he won't explain either. Several quiet moments, everyone stared at Shiloh and Jeremy in confusion. Shiloh had a similar look on his face before averting his eyes. Sorry, I can't help you with this one, Jules. That's everything I can think of. Cool, thanks for asking. So, do you have any questions for Jeremy? Then it took Cove a moment to recover from being put on the spot. But ultimately, his eyes shifted from Shilow's and locked to Jeremy's. He remained like that long that there was as if they could speak telepathically. Alright, yeah, I have a question, but Shiloh can't answer. Fine, ask me, let's get it over with. What do you think of me? Even if you don't think I'm tough or something, do you still feel like I'm stupid and wrong about everything? The crack formed in Jeremy's lackadaisical expression. Barely open eyes looked a little more. He still spoke flatly. My opinion on stuff is basically the least important thing you could ever worry about. Disappointment. Well, I'm still asking, so... Alright, that's your name? Cove nodded. There was a hint of pink in his cheeks as he bashfully rubbed his arm.
Okay.
Hey, Cove, you seem like a guy who cares a lot about things that don't matter. It sounds pretty dumb to me. I outgrew that years ago. Being as soft as you act, it isn't something that I would ever do, basically. But you know what the absolute dumbest thing it really is? Cove shook his head with creased brows. He did lean forward just a bit, like he could just not hearing what revelation Jeremy was going to bestow on him. Making yourself miserable if you don't have to be. Oh. If you and the rest of the people here have a way to enjoy existence, then you should go right ahead and do that. Stay gentle and happy, dumb eyebrow guy.
You have my approval.
If that's what you wanted. I hope you all have wonderful lives and suffer as little as possible. Wow. One tumbled out softly. Cove was earnestly amazed by Jeremy's words.
Thank you.
You know it's not gonna make you stay happy? What? Talking to a downer like me. So really you should end this conversation right now, and then you should ever call me again for the rest of our lives. That sounds good. Can I hang up already? Oh, wait, Jeremy, I can't never call you again. Shut up, Shiloh. In face, Shiloh laughed at the tilt of his head. Building something good, only to try undercutting it. Gosh, Jeremy, I know.
Sorry.
The word dripped with sarcasm was accompanied by a smirk. It was the first time he saw him smile this entire time. Cove piped up meekly, an awkward smile of his own on his face. Maybe in my opinion it's always skewed, but because I'm comparing things now to how Jeremy used to be. But, I mean, you don't seem bad. What? Cove needed to look away from Jeremy's painfully sharp eyes to finish his thought. I'd probably be okay with talking to you again. Come on, you can have standards. Yeah, Cove, you're pretty cute. You told me you're making fun of me. Nope, I mean it. He groaned loudly at the affection, but there was a light blush involuntarily appearing on his face. Liz clapped her hands. Wonderful. Good. Now that we're so much closer to this Jeremy kid, I think we can all get along together and be friends. Friends? Jeremy repeated the word back like it was a foreign phrase. He genuinely didn't seem to understand. That's right. If we keep working on it, I don't see why the five of us can't be friends. He stared at Luke incredulously for several moments. Her expression twisted into fresh confusion of her own. Okay, 3 things. First, I already have one whole friend, and that's more than enough. Second, I still don't know who you are. Did you even say your name at any point? And most importantly, third, one of the people in this friendship is Shiloh Fields. He and I aren't going to be friends. Why not? And I'm Liz, by the way. Because he's Shiloh. Our relationship is already as good as it is ever going to be. He mercifully leaves me be most of the time, and on the weird occasion where I need something, I just get it over with. Then he goes away again, and I have a modicum of peace. You know how it works, right? You're in it with me. You have the best arrangement possible with the way it is. Jeremy looked at Shiloh seriously to back up the validity of their relationship. But Shiloh shook his head with a laugh. I don't try to hang around too much. That's because you're shy. You're the only one who thinks that sounds actually a good idea. Sorry. Jeremy turned his face to the side and let out another exaggerated sigh. Cove and Liz both joined on Shiloh's mirth. Jeremy got no support. Of course he'd say that. Why did I even bother? That's Shiloh's famous memory for you. This is chuckling stuff. Wait, what does that mean, Shiloh's famous memory? What? Whatever. Basically, Shiloh annoyingly remembers everything that happens for all of eternity. Lisa took some piece of info he has isn't helpful anymore and started explaining to you. Then magically, all of a sudden he doesn't know anything about it. His boldly inconsistent recollection of situations is pretty much a running joke. The Shiloh stick, one of them anyway. Shiloh dug into Liz's face as Jeremy spoke. Cove lost a smile, seeing her reaction. Shiloh remained silent, with his big childlike eyes locked on your sister. Jeremy began to shrink away from the screen at the changing atmosphere. He broke eye contact with everyone. I'm guessing he didn't mention that.
No.
He didn't. And he said he forgot something to you? I do recall him saying a little thing like that. Sorry. But, well, apparently you had the pleasure of meeting Nick. You know me, and I talked a bit about Fran and, Everett too. We're all in that unbearable group, and we're all unbearable people. What an amazing coincidence, huh? What we're about is kind of hard to hide. I'm gonna go now. I don't want to be the fifth wheel to your own little group. You 3 people have a good day, I guess. And Shiloh, I'll see you back at school.
Bye.
Jeremy promptly ended the call. Just as people began to warm up to him, he accidentally found a new way to ice the mood again. Well, this is interesting. Shiloh, now bringing his own case, put his phone away and chuckled.
So...
I knew that Jeremy didn't think highly of me, but it's even worse than I thought. That's really sad. Shiloh. Her firm tone immediately brought Shiloh's focus back to her. When she got his attention, however, Liz's voice became small. When we first met in the city, did you know who we were? Did you pretend not to recognize us? The 2 old friends watched each other for a beat, but ultimately Shiloh closed his eyes with a lopsided smile. Oh, Lizzie, you gotta know I could never really forget you. Liz was speechless, but it wasn't quiet. Cove couldn't stop his mouth from shouting out. Oh my God, you were lying to them? Lying is a strong word. I was, improvising. I didn't really mind, but when I said concerned about why he felt that was the best option, did he dislike you that much, or was it something else? Go home, Shiloh, or go to my house right there till we continue home.
All right.
Okay. His shoulders dipped and head low, Shiloh obediently left the park alone. We disappeared up the road. Liz sat her butt down right into the sand with no concern for how dirty her dress might get this time. Wow, she is really upset. Not that I blame her. That's gotta be quite the blow. I'm gonna stick with my sister. I think so. We're done. So shared an extra look with you. She wanted to be alone, but this wasn't the time for that. We're not going anywhere. Guessing that you were going to be here for this, she let out a groan. At the same time, Liz pulled the sides of her head down, gripping it tightly in frustration. I can't believe you pretended you didn't know us. Since when is Shiloh too good to catch up with acquaintances? It's infuriating. Am I an idiot for thinking we could talk? She needs a hug. She wiggled closer and pulled her big sister to a hug from the side. continued to hold on even when she didn't let go of her hat. That light twist, that's not your fault. Seriously, he's a tool.
Fine.
I know I shouldn't care. It doesn't matter if one person doesn't want to be my bestie. She's not the greatest man on earth. I'll be fine. But I brought him here all the way from the other side of the state, and they don't even know why he did any of this. The child removed her hands from the brim of her hat and went to rub at her temples instead. It blows. So started some nervous laughter at her unexpected phrasing. She didn't mind it. It's true, but you'll always have me.
Thank you.
Thanks, baby kiddo. She squished you tight and rocked you back and forth in a dramatic hug. You let out a cove-like squeak. I love you. I love you too. And what is family for? Well, I thought it was for hogging the phone while growing up, but this works. She released you with a shaky, self-impressed laugh. Oh, and thank you too, Cove, for being around. We are practically family ourselves, right? She shot him a nice smile and he chuckled bashfully. Yeah, no problem. Good, good. Those rested her eyes after those last couple words, and eased your heart to see her feel better. Cove let out a soft sigh of relief. Hey. Cove then brought his face close to yours so he could speak in a whisper.
Are you okay?
I know Liz was his best friend. You knew him too. You were there when he did his whole pretend improvisation act. I'm sad. I hadn't cared before, but it was really awful. I'm sorry. He doesn't deserve to be gone for 10 years to silly mess with everybody's emotions. So then in his checkup, I reached over to pat you on the shoulder reassuringly. The longtime neighborhood group sat together quietly in the sand, just enjoying the feeling of familiarity and support. You weren't entirely sure how much time passed, but you were eventually caught off guard by a tall call in the distance. In unison, the three of you turned your heads to the sound, and there, standing at the edge of the prairie ground, was Shadow himself. He waved. You didn't want him to hurt your sister again. Why would he think it was okay to come back here after everything? You have something to say? What's that? I couldn't hear you from over there, but don't get up on my account. I'll come to you. No. You knew you heard what you said. Shadow approached with easy strides, as if he had been welcomed. You were floored with how much confidence or shamelessness the boy was apparently capable of now. Liz turned her face and refused to acknowledge what was happening. She might have been trying to think happy thoughts and wish Shadow's presence away. Fortunately, it didn't work. When Shadow arrived, he popped down into the sand with the rest of you. His legs totally crisscrossed.
Hi.
Leave. Seriously, get lost. I will, in just a minute. What do you want now? Well, I figured you'd want to talk to me after you'd had some space. I ought to let you do that, even if you're going to yell at me. His smiling face seemed to be free to snap at Shadow with full force. And why in the world would you think that? Okay, Shadow looked back at her softly. You haven't changed that much, Lizzie. You're the one who found me online when I brushed you off earlier this summer. When have you ever preferred leaving something unresolved in the end? You didn't even get a chance to make me explain why I did it. I bet you're dying to do that. Liz ground her teeth, quietly fuming. Shadow had called it right, and that sucked for her. Fine, I'll bite. Give me your excuses.
Well,
mostly it was really bad timing. I could have handled it a lot better if I had known I was going to see you that day. If there wasn't a self-appointed hall monitor dutifully watching every move people made. And a high good see gotta go was simply too much for your little heart to manage. Of course, the goal was to keep as much distance as possible, and maybe notice a guy you knew wouldn't have been helpful. So you can't stand us, and me trying to reconnect was just a huge pain for you after all. Amazing. Wonderful. Thank you so much for saying so. No, that's not it. Don't feel bad, though. You're almost never wrong. Your older sister's brow twitched as she stared at Shadow in tired disbelief. Smiled back at her brightly. I did it so this wouldn't happen. What? I dealt with the situation the way I always do, by saying stuff I didn't exactly mean, because it's just easier that way. You heard Jeremy. It's what I'm known for. Sure, right now you're mad that I pretended not to remember you, but if I hadn't done that, it would have been something else later on, and we'd have ended up here still. But this anger became more and more difficult for her to maintain. It was not a place where she had a sad confusion. Then don't do that. Don't be like that. Why not be someone you're actually okay showing me? Shadow chuckled uncomfortably and searched for a way to explain himself to his former idol. I would have made you sad if I could have avoided it. I mean that. I thought I could at least finish this visit without issue. Jeremy wasn't someone I expected to call me out. That's pointless to him, usually. But I'm not going to be someone whose personality revolves around making you happy. No matter how much I follow others, it wasn't for them. Every decision was mine. I couldn't be in charge, so being a sidekick to the best option was something I did for my sake. I choose to let people be the boss when it's what I need, and I choose where to stop it. The best I could do for you now is spare you from dealing with it. I'm not as earnest as you are. I'm not as nice as you are. I was always like that, even as a kid. Back then, I wanted to fit in, even if it meant excluding someone else. If they were the odd one out, that'd mean I wasn't. Finding my place here got harder when Cove moved in. It was a good thing for everybody that I ended up moving myself soon after that. I knew it. I was sure you weren't being honest back then. At least I'm admitting it now. I know that's essentially how you were back then. You were a scary guy who wanted someone to defend you.
Gee.
I simply imagine that in the past 10 years you grew out of that and learned how to speak to others like, I don't know, an actual grown-up human being. Well, it might depend on an adult yet. I won't be 18 until later this year in October. October 30th. You remembered. So did you, punk. Child chuckled self-consciously as Liz mentioned him. There was an affable moment before she became serious again. I liked you when we were kids. I wanted to know you now. That's what upset me the most, the idea that maybe you only wanted to be rid of your old friends.
Aw.
Lizzie, you're too good to need someone like me in your life. That's the truth. I'm not worth the effort. Except for with unusual people who have odd taste. Then she straightened up on the sand, brushing her dress back out. That's an incredibly annoying thing to say. It's insane. You only changed in stupid ways and stayed the same for the rest. That's fair. Is it? It means maybe I have unusual taste? You could have stuffed Charles and Tyler hat into his mouth with how wide he'd opened it. You? Well, as much as a mother hen being compelled to look out for their chicks, no matter how useless they are, is unusual. I can't help it. You haven't changed that much after all either. You're still Shiloh. You're painfully still Shiloh.
You're welcome.
I brought you here, and I'm not going to abandon you. It has to be someone's job to look out for it and keep an eye on you. With her surety returning, she pulled herself up off the ground and glowered down at Shiloh with her arms folded. Now, I do want to apologize for everything done behind our backs when you could have opened up all of what you just said. With all of what you just said. You should have given us a real chance or stayed home. This vote was rude. To me, and Jules, and Cove, too. As if bringing the baby chicken into life, Shiloh dutifully did this to get his soul. Sorry, Lizzie, Jules, Cove, everyone, I don't want to cause problems or run the day. And you don't have to accept just because I'm saying it. Everybody needs to like everyone. Alright then. We're kind of mean sometimes when we were kids, but I wasn't very nice to you either. All this recent stuff isn't really something to make about me, so I'm not going to hold on to it. I mean, as long as you're not going to keep upsetting people from now on. Thanks, Cove. I'll avoid doing that in the future. Then Case just focused to you. His expression was curious. He wanted to know where your feelings landed on him. Were you pretending to have a good time with us today? No, it really was great to come back to the old neighborhood and see you three. I wouldn't guess it would end badly, so I try not to get into this situation in the first place. Jules, do you want to stay for what's left of the evening? You don't have to. Got your feet, you thought about it. You didn't want to spend noon. Okay. This one is definitely going to be nice. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. You did, and there's a reason for it. Well, if you have caused that surprise, if your arms over your head, you can sense. Despite how many things I admitted made stuff awkward, you had no intention of going anywhere. So took his feet, straightening his cap on the landing. Ben would be so proud. We didn't all leave. Cobras as well, both a gray. Another groupmate?
Nope.
No, he's a supervisor. He's also friends with my mom. And if you're still wanting that group, it's for people who have difficult to deal with attitudes. Jeremy and Nate being in there makes a lot of sense, huh? Sean spoke simply and finished his spot with a breezy shrug. Liz sighed loudly, and then she got loosely at him. Geez, Heather, you certainly made yourself out of people's problems since leaving. Well, now you all know me better, too. Thanks for sharing. A small smirk appeared on her face as she watched Shadow. You didn't fail to notice the hint of sarcasm in her voice. And thank you, Jules. Accompanied by a warm smile, was his tone sincere. I could be hanging out with everyone, too. sheepish Cove rose his arm. Liz's smile stretched into a grin at that news. Thanks for sticking around. Well then, what now? Before we stared at each other in silence until Shadow tentatively made a suggestion. Would anyone want to build a sandcastle? That sounds ideal. Your older sister began to truly relax again, and I'm glad to see it. That's it, Cove. He nodded in agreement with Liz. Yeah, I like that idea, too. It had been a long time since you last built sandcastles together. You were already looking forward to burying your feet in the sand. Then we're all agreed. Come on, gang, let's go play at the beach. The sun was far across the sky when the four of you tread down to the park to the shore in comfortable silence. It's hard not to think back on how familiar it all felt. I never thought the four of you would ever be here together again. It wasn't long before sitting on the wet ground, busily pushing as much sand as possible into the lake. We all worked together quietly, but every so often a chuckle would drift through because of the castle's lopsided development. At one point, Cove stretched his legs out completely, and the incoming wave started reaching his toes. Initially, he was caught off guard and almost jumped into the castle, but ultimately didn't resist the water. After that, the group worked with purpose to fish before the ocean could tear it all down. Though even still, Liz ended up taking time to be particular about the castle's rudimentary design. Shadow, of course, backed up all his plans. Cove was a dissenting voice, wanting to keep things more laid back. Things got pretty boisterous. Being there and doing this with Cove was in Shadow. It felt weirdly different, but also weirdly the same. So what happened with the amusement park you were pretending not to know, weren't you? Both you and your sister glanced at Shadow, silently re-asking the question, and the weight of all three of you taking a turn to ask about it, Shadow finally gave in. I might have an idea of what he meant.
So...
The thing is, if someone we're both familiar with this yesterday makes the amusement park one time. He said it, but just complained about it. So I suggested that maybe me and her should go together. Jeremy also agreed that it'd be more fun to go around the park with me. That's what he meant when he said he was on my side. She still went with him, and now Jeremy is embarrassed to admit not that he was turned down, but that he was the preferred option then. It's hard to believe. Anyway, Jeremy could think that I'm mad I got passed over, but it doesn't matter if she said yes or no. All that counts is if she knows I'm totally there when she needs it, and she does. Sure, Shadow. You're so reliable. I know, right? Okay. Thanks for telling us.
You're welcome.
So to yourself, you watched the three of them absorbed in the moment. It was nice and you hoped everyone else was having just as much fun. It was incredible that you were able to have another evening like this in your life. The feeling of odd serendipity wasn't only with Shadow. You had also gotten that sort of exposure with the old villain of that one summer long ago. Just like old times, the four of you stayed on the beach until night fell and the moon was high in the sky. Then the time had come to say goodbye. Shadow needed to get back to his mom and back to where his life truly was now. Early on the beach, Shadow pulled you aside and gave you his number just in case you wanted to keep in touch. Liz already had it, but he wanted to give it to you personally. You weren't expecting that, but it was comforting to know that this didn't have to be a permanent goodbye. The four of you walked up the neighborhood street as one, tired smiles covering the familiar faces around you. The wind gently blew by, sand dragged behind you, and a hard-to-grasp feeling of contentment carried you through to the end of this road. It was a good night. After that, Shadow disappeared from Sunset Bird once again, but this time it wasn't heartbreaking or hard to understand. This time it was just another part of life. I hope that Liz had her own phone and laptop and could easily check in on him time to time. That was nice too. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just the two. Okay, so we should finish that moments next week and then move on to step 4. I want to keep going, but I can tell my voice is getting tired. Okay, so gallery. Let's see. So here we go. The SCP. So the other DLCs for Derek are from the DLC featuring him that hasn't been released yet. And the same with Back to So, the dev team is on Twitter if you wanted to find out more, if you wanted to keep up with developments as they progress. They posted pictures of new backgrounds on the patients and stuff. I mean, you can look up GBPatch Games on Twitter, and you should find them. I know I followed them. Yeah, my Twitter handle is just Donniana. Just look up Just Silvercoat, you'll find it. And I have a link to my YouTube channel, so of course if you're watching this on YouTube, you've already found it. But the developers, the official Twitter for their company, I guess you could call it, is @patch_games. Patch and games are both capitalized. But yeah, that's it for today. Next week we will finish up the step 3 moments, and the week after we will move on to step 4. So we're getting there. Obviously, if I hadn't bought the DLC, we would probably have been finished by now, but we're splitting that. So I hope you all have a good week, day, whatever. And don't forget, there will be links in the description on YouTube to buy the base game and the Step 3 DLC. And they do have sales where you can buy the DLC as a bundle. But the last time they had a sale was before the Sunny DLC was released. So that's part of the reason why I don't have it yet, is because it was released separately and I haven't had a chance to do that. So yes, take care everyone, and we will see you next time. Bye.